heads and get into our sweet bodies. That's all we're going to work on this morning. We'll start on our backs. So make your way to your back. You can allow your feet to be anywhere, but I would offer allow the soles of your feet to touch each other and your knees to open up out to the side. And just let gravity do its work on your inner thighs, on your hips. You might allow your fingers or your hands to rest right on your hip points. Settle in. Maybe allow your eyes to close, allow your mouth to close, and let's start to find some focused breath. Before we do that, just take a few moments, a few breaths on your own. Get acquainted with your inhale and your exhale this morning. Maybe allow the tongue to release from the roof of your mouth. And keeping your lips closed, start with a 4-count inhale. And after you get to 4, pause. And then exhale for a count of 4. Pause. Inhale to 4. Pause at the top. Exhale for 4. Pause at the bottom. Keep going with your count. You can let go of the counting and allow your breath to find its own rhythm. Keeping your inhales and exhales even on each side. If your knees are open, you can begin to lift your knees and then hug your knees into your chest. With your fingers, your hands on top of your knees, start to make some circles. First in one direction, as big or as small as your lower back or hips like. And then go in the other direction. Noticing what you feel. Bring the soles of your feet back to the mat, hip width distance apart. You can allow your hands to extend alongside your body, palms face down. Press into your upper arms and shimmy your shoulder blades closer toward each other. As you inhale, press into your feet, lift your hips up toward the ceiling, roll up into your bridge. As you exhale, slowly roll your spine back down until your hips touch the mat. Inhale, roll up. Exhale, roll down. And keep going, following your own breath. Our goal right here is not to get to our highest bridge. We're just waking up our spine. The next time you lift your hips on your inhale, if you like, you can lift your arms up until they reach up overhead. Maybe your thumbs touch the floor behind your head. And then as you exhale, arms come forward, hands come back to the mat at the same time your hips do. And the next time you lift your hips, pause there. Allow your knees to energetically hug toward each other. And then exhale, lower your hips all the way to the mat. Hug your knees into your chest, little side to side motion here. And then continue to hug your right leg into your chest. Extend your left leg out on the mat. Squeeze that knee into your chest, and then with your left hand on your right knee, guide that knee over to the left. Find a twist. Your right arm is extended out to the side, palm face up. And here, notice where you feel any sensation. As you're ready, come back to center, hug that knee into the chest again, and then bring the other knee up to meet. Both knees hug in. Now hold on to the other leg, that left knee. Squeeze that into the chest while you extend your right leg out to the mat. Hug in, and then with your right hand, guide that knee over to the right. Left arm extends, palm face up. What do you notice in that shoulder? How about the hip? Bring that knee back into the chest, come back to center, and then hug both knees into the chest. Maybe some side to side rocking here. Hold on to the backs of your thighs. Push your thighs away from you so that your knees are right over your hips. Flex your feet, and as you inhale, lift your feet, lift your legs up toward the ceiling. Flex your feet so the soles of your feet are facing the ceiling. As you exhale, point your toes, bend your knees, and squeeze your heels toward your glutes. Really squeeze here. Inhale, lift your feet, flex. Exhale, point your toes, bend your knees, and squeeze. And keep going with your breath. And as you flex and point your feet, if your ankles are talking to you, just talk back, it's fine. And the next time you bend your knees, allow your shins to become parallel with the mat. Add some action to your toes, either flex your feet or press the balls of your feet forward, spread your toes wide. Extend your arms up overhead or above your body, fingertips reaching toward the ceiling. As you inhale, left arm goes back, right leg goes forward to a hover above the mat. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, opposite arm, opposite leg, hovers above the mat. Inhale, back to center. Keep going, following your breath. And then the next time you are even on both sides, come back and pause in the middle. Now we're going to take the left leg, keep the right leg exactly where it is, keep the left leg bent and open it out to the side as you open your right arm out to the side. And exhale, back to center. Inhale, left arm, right leg, open to each side. Inhale, back to center. Keep going. This movement is a little awkward, but so helpful for our hips. And when you have completed both sides an equal number of times, come back to center. Allow your feet to find the mat, your arms to find the mat. Extend your legs long and then reach your arms up overhead. Give yourself a full body stretch. Begin to keep your hips exactly where they are and begin to walk your legs over to the left side of the mat, just so that they're right off the left side, and then hold your right wrist with your left hand and pull over. You can move your shoulders over to the left, and if you like, you can cross that right leg over the left. Keep your torso nice and long, even in this curve. On your next inhale, come all the way back to center. Unwind yourself. Let go of the clasp of your wrist. And then we'll walk the legs over to the right side. Just off the right side of the mat, maybe shimmy your shoulders over to the right. Right hand takes left arm, pulling it gently over. Breathe into that left side body. And then let's come back to center. Hug your knees into your chest again. Now we're going to rock and roll, and you can hold on to the backs of your thighs or the fronts of your shins. And normally we rock and roll over into our hands and knees. Today, let's see if we can rock and roll all the way up to a forward fold. So you might need to build a little bit more momentum, and let's just play. So just start to rock and roll. And when you decide to come forward, just go for it. And if you stumble, if you need your hands, it's good. It's fine. We're just playing. So find your forward fold here. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. Sway side to side. Maybe bend one knee and then the other. And just feel it out. On your next inhale, lift up halfway. Hands find your shins. Reach the crown of your head forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Bring your hands to your heart. Inhale your arms all the way up. Grab your right wrist. Press into your right foot as you lean over to the left. Inhale back to center. Switch your wrists and press into your left foot. Lean over to your right. Inhale back to center. Allow your arms to come down. Hands to find your palms, find your lower back with your fingertips facing up. Good. Squeeze your elbows in toward each other. Inhale here to lengthen your spine. As you exhale, knit your ribs together. Keep your ribs knitted. Inhale again to lengthen. And as you exhale, curl the top of your spine back. Find a slight back bend here. Inhale, come back up to center. Exhale in place. On your next inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, bend your knees slightly as you fold all the way forward. Inhale, up halfway. Exhale, plant your hands. Step your right foot to the back of the mat. Gently lower your back knee down. Inhale to reach your chest forward. Pause here for your exhale. And on your next inhale, lift your torso and arms into your Anjaneyasana. Beautiful. Breathe right here. As you're ready, you can bring your hands behind your back and clasp your fingers together. And before we do anything else, switch the clasp of your hands. Good. You can squeeze your elbows toward each other, knit those ribs in one more time, and then maybe glide your thumbs down that back thigh as you find a slight back bend here. As we back bend today, please don't let your head fall backward. Keep your neck engaged. Protect your neck. Breathe here. Notice what it's like to breathe here. You can keep your arms right where they are, or you can bring your thumbs to your shoulders, keeping your torso where it is, and then extend your arms up overhead. And notice how this changes the pose. On your next exhale, slowly bring your hands back to the mat. Lift your back knee. Step your front foot back to plank. Pause in your plank just for a moment. Feel strong, feel centered. On your next inhale, come forward to the tips of your toes. Exhale, lower all the way down to the mat. Untuck your toes, press all 10 toenails into the mat. Inhale, lengthen your spine as you lift your chest into your low cobra. Shoulders pull away from your ears, shoulder blades pull together. Knees might be lifting up off the mat because your legs are so active. Maybe you lift your hands up off the mat. Breathe here. Allow your hands to come back to the mat. And then let's walk your hands forward so that your forearms find the mat with your elbows right under your shoulders. We'll pause here for a moment in our Sphinx. Pull your shoulders back. Feel your torso elongating. As you pull your elbows back, see if that allows you to lengthen through your front body anymore. Your legs are still as active as they were in your cobra. Beautiful. Now, if this situation right here is okay for your lower back, if you're not feeling any pinching in that low back, you can point your hands out to the corners of the mat. So open up your forearms a little bit and then press into your hands and maybe lift your elbows up off the mat, any amount. But if you feel pinching in your lower back, come out of it. And even as you do this, lengthen that front body. Good. Exhale and lower your elbows back to the mat. And then you can lower your forehead to the mat. Bring your hands alongside your ribs the way that we started in our cobra. Now press into your hands as you lift your chest and torso. And maybe you lift a little bit higher into your larger cobra. Shoulders pull back. Now maybe you tuck your toes so that you can push your hips up off the mat, push your hips a little bit forward, and then roll to the tops of your feet, pulling pulling your hips forward and find your upward facing dog. And breathe right here. Chest lifts, shoulders pull back, crown of the head reaches toward the ceiling. And on your next exhale, lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Now let's take some time, be gentle in this downward facing dog. We've just given ourselves some nice lower back work here. And so we want to move gently into this fold. On your next inhale, lift your right leg up to the ceiling, reach it high. Exhale, step that foot in between your hands. Lower your back knee to the mat. Inhale to pull your chest forward. Pause for your exhale. On your next inhale, arms and torso lift up into your Anjaneyasana. Beautiful. Good. You can reach your hands behind you and clasp your fingers. Squeeze your elbows toward each other. Knit your ribs in. Guide the thumb down that back thigh as you lift your chest, lift your gaze, and breathe. Sink your hips a little lower. You can keep your arms here if you like. Definitely keep your torso here. Bring your thumbs to your shoulders if you wish, and then extend your hands up, overhead, and behind you. On your next exhale, slowly lower your hands to the mat. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, step your back foot up to the front. Find your forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Fold as you exhale. Inhale all the way up to standing. Hands to your heart. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Step your left foot to the back of the mat. Lower that back knee down. Bring both hands inside that front foot. You can walk that front foot out to the right side of the mat a little bit to make room for yourself. And so if you need a little bit more room, you can grab your block, pull it up on any height, just to give your torso a little bit more room. We're in this kind of sort of lizard pose. Allow your hips to sink down, just maybe a little bit more. And then you can stay here if you like, or turn your toes, your front toes out to the side about 45 degrees, and then roll onto the outside edge of that foot as that knee splays open. You can sink your hips down a little bit here. Or if you like, you can take that right hand and press that right knee away. Breathe here. Torso stays long. If you like, I invite you to bend that back knee and start pressing that heel towards your glutes. Maybe you reach back and hold that foot and play with pulling it closer to you or pushing it away from you. See what it offers. If you have the bind, gently release it. Turn your torso back to the mat. Bring that front foot back so the toes face forward. Walk that foot inside so your hands frame your foot. Lift your back knee, step your front foot to the back of the mat. Find your plank. Inhale forward to the tips of your toes, and then exhale, lower all the way down. Untuck your toes on your next inhale. Lift up into your low cobra. Maybe allow your hands to come off the mat. Exhale and bring your hands back to the mat. Then walk your forearms forward, elbows under shoulders. Pause here in your Sphinx pose. Legs stay active. Feel your elbows pulling back as you lengthen your torso. Maybe your hands move out to the edges of the mat. Press into your hands and lift up a little higher in your Sphinx pose. Allow the elbows to come back to the mat. Allow the forehead to come to the mat. Hands find the mat beside the ribs. On your next inhale, lengthen forward. Lift your chest into your low cobra. Legs are active. Maybe you use your hands to push up into your high cobra with your elbows bent. Maybe you tuck your toes. Come forward, lift your legs up off the mat. Bring your feet back to the mat. Find your upward facing dog. Breathe here. And then lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. And notice all the sensations. This downward facing dog does not need to be static. Take whatever movements are calling for you. On your next inhale, lift your left leg up to the ceiling, reach it back. As you exhale, bend that knee, step it through between your hands, gently lower the back knee down. Bring your hands inside that front foot, walk that foot out to the side. Turn the toes out 45 degrees, pause here. Maybe sink the hips a little bit lower. And then if you like, maybe roll onto the outside edge of that front foot. Knee opens up. Maybe your hand pushes against your knee. Can you sink your hips a little bit lower? Let them. You don't have to force it. Just let it happen. Then maybe you bend that back leg. See if you can reach back and find your foot. Play with the pulling in and the pressing away. If you have the bind, gently release it. Turn your torso back to the mat. Allow your toes to face the top of the mat. And then frame that front foot. Bring that foot inside the hands. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Step your back foot up to the top of the mat. Find your forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Fold forward. You can hold on to your big toes with your peace fingers. Bring your elbows out to the side. You don't even have to pull here. Just the motion of pulling your elbows out to the side adds a little weight. So instead of pulling, maybe just release. On your next inhale, lift up halfway. Pause here, just for a breath or two. And on your next inhale, come all the way up to standing. Exhale your hands to your heart. Let's check in with your feet. Make sure that your feet are about hip width distance apart. Pick up all 10 toes. Press the big toe mounds and the pinky toe mounds into the mat with your toes spread wide. And then gently allow your toes to find the mat. We'll start to place some weight into the right foot. Become light on your left foot. And as you're ready, lift that left knee up in front of you. Flex that foot. As you exhale, keep that knee bent, lower the knee though, and bring that flexed foot behind you, squeezing toward your glutes. Inhale, lift the knee in front of you. Pause here for your exhale. Inhale, extend that leg out in front of you. Keep that foot flexed. Exhale, bend your knee. Pause here for your inhale. On your next exhale, bring the foot behind you. Again, inhale, lift the knee. Pause here. Next inhale, extend the leg. Exhale, bend the knee. Pause here. Next exhale, bring the foot behind you. One more time with your breath. The next time you bring your knee forward, gently bring that foot back to the mat. You can walk out that standing foot, give that ankle any release, and then we'll move to the other side. But do this slowly. Take your time to set up your foundation, find your balance, build your balance. As you place weight into your left foot, right foot becomes light. Lift the right knee in front of you. Good. As you exhale, keep the knee bent, but lower it. Heel squeezes toward your glutes. Inhale, bring the knee forward, pause. Next inhale, lengthen the leg. Exhale, bend the knee. Squeeze the foot behind you. Follow your breath. Moving slowly through this balance requires focus. And when you are ready, allow that other foot to come to the mat. Walk it out. Very good. Good. On your next inhale, reach all the way up to the ceiling. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold all the way forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Plant your hands, step both feet to the back of the mat. Inhale forward to the tips of your toes. Exhale, lower down. You can take a chaturanga here if you like. Find your back bend. And exhale your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. On your next inhale, lift your right leg up to the ceiling. Reach it far behind you. Exhale, bend your knees, step that foot through between your hands. Look back at your left foot, step it out to the left about 4 or 5 inches. Dial that back heel down. Pause here for just a moment. We've got our feet on railroad tracks. We're bending into the front knee. Come to your fingertips and lift your torso up halfway. Really extend your spine. Extend your chest forward. You can keep your hands here if you like, or you can extend them up out by your ears in this halfway lift here. And then on your next inhale, lift your torso and arms up. Find your warrior one. Beautiful. Press into the outside edge of that back heel. Good. Breathe here. If you like, you can lower your hands behind your back. Clasp your hands, clasp your fingers together. Pause. Switch the clasp of your fingers. Good. Squeeze your shoulders together. Take a moment as you inhale to knit your ribs in toward each other. As you exhale, maybe your thumbs slide down that back thigh as your chest lifts into your back bend. Keep breathing. Check in with the bend of your front knee. Are you coming out of it, or can you sink in a little bit more? You can keep your arms here if you like, or bring your thumbs to your shoulders, and then extend your arms up alongside your ears. On your next inhale, lift your torso back to center. Good. Warrior one still. Now clasp your hands behind your back. Extend your arms, your knuckles down toward the mat. Inhale to lengthen. As you exhale, fold forward inside that front leg. Allow the crown of your head to come toward the mat. And if you like, you can lift your arms up and over, finding a shoulder opening here. Check in with your back foot. You should be looking at it. Maybe you can lift that big toe. On your next inhale, lift up halfway and then rise all the way up into your warrior one. As you exhale, bend into that front knee a little bit more, hands find the mat. Back heel lifts, step your front foot back to plank. We will meet in downward facing dog. You can get there however you like. Excellent. From your downward facing dog, lift your left leg up to the ceiling, reach it high. As you exhale, bend that knee, bring the foot between your hands. Step your right foot out to the right about 4 or 5 inches. Dial the back heel down. Keep your hands on the mat as you pull your chest forward, pull that hip back. Beautiful. Extend your arms maybe out alongside your ears into your halfway lift. And on your next inhale, lift up into your warrior one. Breathe here. Check in with that front knee. Make sure you can see at least your first 2 toes on that foot. Press into the outside edge of your back foot. When you're ready, lower your arms behind your back. Clasp your fingers. Maybe your thumb finds the back of that thigh. Squeeze your elbows together. Knit your ribs in. Maybe start to trace the back of that thigh with your thumbs. Finding a back bend here. Where is your breath? Maybe you release the clasp and your thumbs find your shoulders, and then your arms extend out alongside your ears, and breathe. On your next inhale, lift your torso and arms back to center. Beautiful. Clasp your hands behind your back. Inhale to lengthen your chest as you squeeze your knuckles toward the mat. As you exhale, fold forward inside that front leg. Maybe your arms come up overhead. Keep that front hip honest. Don't let it squeeze out to the side. Pull it back in. On your next inhale, lift your torso up halfway. Pause. And inhale, arms all the way up to the ceiling. Find your warrior one. Bring your hands to your heart. Lift your back heel. We're going to place the weight into our front leg. Lean forward. Lift that back leg up. Let's find warrior three. Extend your chest forward. Beautiful. Breathe here. Slowly and gently, let your hands find the mat in front of you. Keep your back leg lifted. Make sure all of your toes are pointed toward the mat. As you fold forward, lift that back leg. Find your standing splits. On your next inhale, lift up halfway. Bring that lifted leg up to the front. Find your forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Bend your knees. Step your left leg to the back of the mat. Keep your toes tucked. As you inhale, come up into a gentle high lunge. That front leg doesn't have to be super bent. Sorry. Bring your hands to your heart. Place your weight into that front foot. As you lean your torso forward, lift that back leg. Find warrior three this way. Steady your breath. And as you're ready, gently find the mat with your fingertips. Inhale to lengthen your spine. Back foot stays lifted. All 5 toes pointing toward the mat. As you fold forward, lift that back leg. On your next exhale, bring that knee in. Let the back foot find the mat in your forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Pause here. And on your next inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Bring your hands to your heart. On your next inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Plant your hands. Step your left foot to the back of the mat. Dial that heel down. Your heels are in line with each other. We're moving into our warrior two. So your legs are in your warrior two position. Reach your left arm forward, up, and lift your torso into your warrior two. Beautiful. Lengthen that front leg for just a moment and then bend back into it. Allow that front knee to push out to the side so you can see your front 2 toes. Good. Bring your hands to your ribs and then turn your torso so that it's facing the long edge of the mat. Beautiful. You can reach behind you and clasp your hands and then clasp them the other way. Squeeze your knuckles down toward the mat as you lift your chest. Find a little back bend here. Make sure that your torso stays pointing toward the side. It's going to want to angle off toward the front of the mat. But let's keep it to the side. When you're ready, come back to center. Extend your arms out into your warrior two arms. On your next inhale, lengthen your leg, lift your arms up overhead. Turn all 10 toes to the back of the mat. Then we'll bend into your left knee, finding warrior two facing this way. Find your breath. You can use your hands on your ribs to help guide your torso to the side. Good. And then you can reach behind, clasp your hands, squeeze your knuckles toward the mat, squeeze your shoulder blades together as you lift your chest. Find a small back bend here. Keep breathing. When you're ready, bring your torso back to center. Extend your arms out. Find your warrior two. Maybe your gaze goes over those front fingers. On your next inhale, lengthen both legs, extend your arms up overhead. Turn your toes to the side of the mat, the long edge side. Turn your toes slightly in and your heels slightly out. Again, let's clasp hands behind your lower back. This time bring your thumbs to your sacrum. Squeeze your elbows together and then squeeze your knuckles down. Bend your knees slightly. As you exhale, fold forward about halfway. Your torso is parallel to the mat, eyes on the floor. Pause here. And if you like, you can fold forward all the way as you exhale. Maybe you allow your arms to come up overhead. If you prefer, you can allow your hands to find the mat, or you can stay here in this shoulder opening position. On your next inhale, lift up halfway and pause. And then inhale to rise all the way up, arms up overhead. Beautiful. Turn all 10 toes to the front of the mat. Bring your hands to the mat. We are going to meet in downward facing dog. If you would like another chaturanga, go for it. Excellent. From downward facing dog, lift your left leg up to the ceiling. As you exhale, bend your knee. Bring your knee right behind that left wrist. Lower your shin to the mat. We're going to find our Kapotasana, our pigeon pose. So you walk that back leg out behind you a little bit more. And then maybe walk your hands toward your hips. Beautiful. Keep your torso nice and lifted. Allow that front heel to come right in front of your front hip. So it's not, we're not trying to get it parallel with the top of the mat. Go ahead and bend that knee. And you can stay here if you like, but it's a really great exercise if you bend that back knee. Try to squeeze that heel toward your glutes. And then if you like, you can reach back and bind that knee, pull it in. Try to keep your torso facing forward as much as you can if you're reaching for that bind. If you have the bind, gently release it, lower that back foot toward the mat. We're going to start to walk our hands out in front of us, but before we collapse down, take a moment and inhale, really lengthen the spine. Feel your sit bones start to push behind you. Yes. And then you can walk your hands out more and lower down any amount. Start to let your breath fill you up. Take some deep sighs if that feels good. You can stay in this position if you wish. I'm going to offer a twist if you are interested. Press in to your hands so that your torso lifts up a little bit off the mat. Take your right hand and thread it under the left, reaching out, and then turn to allow your right shoulder to find the mat. You can bring your palms to meet. Press your palms together, and as you do, allow your chest to roll back a little bit. Finding that twist. Your head may or may not be on the mat. If it's not, try not to let it flop over. Try to support that neck. If you have the twist, release your palms. Bring that left hand back to the mat. Press into the mat. Come out of your twist. Bring both hands to the mat about shoulder distance apart. Tuck your back toes. Lift your hips and step that foot, that bottom foot, back to downward facing dog. And you can take whatever movements you like to release that hip. On your next inhale, lift your right leg up toward the ceiling. As you exhale, bring that knee right behind the right wrist. And then walk the back leg back. Again, here, finding our Kapotasana. Walk your hands back towards your hips a little so you can lift your torso. And then consider if you would like to bend that back leg. If you decide to bend, maybe you think about the bind. Slowly release the bind if you have it. Slowly let that foot come back to the mat. Begin to walk your hands in front of you as you lengthen your torso. Press your hips back. And then walk your hands out and lower down any amount. If you would like to explore the twist on this side, bring your palms back to the mat. Press your hands into the mat to lift your arms up. Thread that left arm underneath the right. Allow the left shoulder to find the mat. Maybe your palms meet, press against each other as you find your twist. If you're in the twist, release your palms, bring your right hand to the mat, press into the mat as you lift your torso. Now both hands press into the mat, shoulder width distance, tuck your back toes, lift your hips, lift that bottom leg, step back to your downward facing dog. And after you have found whatever release you need, bring your knees to the mat. Let's come and find a comfortable seat. Just sit with your legs crossed. Allow your palms to rest on your knees or your thighs. Feel your spine so long, crown of your head so tall. As you inhale, lift your arms up overhead. Allow your palms to meet. As you exhale, bring them down the center line, all the way down. Inhale, gather, all the way up overhead, palms touch. Exhale, bring everything down to the center line. And one more time, inhale, all the way up, palms touch. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. You can allow your eyes to close for a moment if you like. Let's come back to that 4 count breath. Inhale for 4, pause. Exhale for 4, pause. You can keep your eyes closed or find soft focus if you like. With your palms touching, make a little space between your palms. Let the outside edges of your hands touch. In that space, just imagine the stillness of the pause between each breath. And as you move through your day, remember that you have that stillness.